Stefanie Pieper has been found dead, nearly a week after she went missing after returning home from a Christmas party. The news hit like a violent shockwave through Austria, Slovenia, and the entire online world that had quietly grown to love and admire the young beauty influencer. Stefanie was just 31 years old, full of life, full of dreams, full of plans that were never meant to end in a cold stretch of forest, far from the home she cherished, and the career she had worked so hard to build. To many, she was a rising star, a gentle soul who combined beauty and artistry with the kind of authenticity that made people feel as though they knew her personally. To her family, she was more than an influencer. She was a daughter, a sister, a best friend, someone who lit up every room she entered. And to her followers, she was a symbol of joy, resilience, and creativity. But the world that had watched her shine would soon watch a tragedy unfold piece by piece, revealing just how fragile life can be when darkness hides behind the familiar face of someone once trusted. According to the Austrian newspaper Kronenzeitung, the story took a heartbreaking turn when investigators announced that Stefanie had been found dead in a forest in Slovenia. Investigators reported that her ex-boyfriend, also 31, had allegedly confessed to strangling her and then led police to the remote location, where he had hidden her body inside a suitcase. It was a detail so horrifying, so unthinkable, that even seasoned investigators struggled to comprehend it. Stefanie had been missing since November 23rd. It was supposed to be a joyful night, a Christmas party with friends, laughter, pictures, drinks, and the warm sense of holiday spirit that usually fills this time of year. She had gone out with the ease of someone who felt safe in her surroundings. She had returned home, as far as anyone could tell, without any trace of concern or danger. For many, a night out is simply that, a night of happiness that ends with tired feet, leftover glitter, and memories of good company. But for Stefanie, the night would become the beginning of a nightmare no one knew was unfolding behind closed doors. According to the Styrian State Police, Stefanie was last seen getting out of a taxi along with a friend upon arriving at her apartment. It was late, the streets were dimly lit, Christmas lights hung in windows, the air crisp with winter. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. Her friend had assumed Stefanie would go inside, rest, and continue on with her busy schedule the next day. She had a photo shoot scheduled, something she never missed, something she always looked forward to. Stefanie was deeply professional, always punctual, always prepared. So when she failed to appear, her absence became the first quiet whisper of concern. Family members were immediately alarmed. Stefanie was not someone who disappeared without a word. She wasn't someone who untethered from her responsibilities or broke routines impulsively. They tried calling, they tried messaging, they waited, hoping for a reply, thinking perhaps she was simply exhausted from the night before. But as the hours passed with no response, worry turned into fear and fear turned into action. They alerted authorities without hesitation. On November 26th, the Styrian State Police confirmed in an official release that Stefanie was missing. The announcement felt like a punch to the gut, a declaration that every hope of a simple misunderstanding had evaporated. Officials stated that she had not shown up for work, and that she could not be reached. Friends, colleagues, and followers shared posts online, urging anyone with information to come forward. Her face circulated widely across Europe, her smile appearing in timelines, news alerts, and missing person bulletins. Social media erupted with prayers and desperate pleas for her safe return. But behind the scenes, investigators were already focusing their attention on someone close to her, her ex-boyfriend. Authorities confirmed that he had been arrested in connection with her disappearance. He had behaved suspiciously, police said. His movements raised red flags. He could not be contacted by investigators, and his actions in the days following Stefanie's disappearance were, in the eyes of police, evasive and troubling. The man was believed to have traveled to Slovenia several times in his car. Cross-border movements in the days after Stefanie vanished suggested he wasn't simply going about life as normal. He was running, hiding, or attempting to cover something up. One detail after another pointed in his direction, and eventually, he became the central figure in a rapidly developing criminal investigation. Then came the shocking twist, the one that made clear that this was no ordinary missing person case. On Monday evening, November 24th, Slovenian police reported a strange and unsettling incident. A car had caught fire in the parking lot of a casino near the border, not simply overheated, not abandoned, but burning. The flames drew attention and officers arrived quickly. The car belonged to the 31-year-old man. He was found in the immediate vicinity of the burning vehicle, disoriented, visibly stressed, and unable or unwilling to provide coherent answers about what had happened. Slovenian police took him into custody, and the pieces of the puzzle were suddenly fitting together with chilling clarity. The burning car was not a coincidence, it wasn't random. It was part of an unfolding story of panic and guilt, a story that investigators would soon unravel entirely. Extradition to Austria was requested. The man remained under Slovenian custody while authorities from both countries coordinated efforts to understand what had happened, where Stefanie was, and whether she might still be alive. But deep down, even before the confession was publicly revealed, investigators feared the worst. The pattern was tragically familiar. A young woman goes missing. The person closest to her becomes the prime suspect. Panic leads to destruction of evidence, and eventually, a truth emerges too devastating to bear. And in this case, the truth was worse than anyone wanted to imagine, according to reports. The ex-boyfriend eventually admitted to strangling Stefanie. He led police through the cold, quiet forest in Slovenia, a place where winter's silence hung heavily in the air, where trees stood tall and indifferent, and where no one would ever have stumbled upon what he had hidden. And there, inside a suitcase, was Stefanie's body, a suitcase. The image alone crushed the hearts of everyone who had hoped, even faintly, that she might still be alive. It was an act devoid of humanity, a chilling reminder of how domestic violence can escalate to its most horrifying and irreversible form. The cruelty of the act, compressing a life so full of warmth into something so degrading, left communities speechless. Her family, shattered with grief, now faced the unimaginable task of coming to terms with the loss of someone they loved so deeply. A daughter who had been cherished from the moment she took her first breath. A young woman who had grown into a symbol of beauty, confidence, and inspiration. A person who celebrated life through her career, capturing dreams through her camera lens and sharing her world with thousands of followers who admired her. As the authorities released more details, the timeline of her final hours began falling into place. A quiet unraveling of trust, safety, and life itself. Stefanie had come home after a joyful night out, unaware that danger lurked nearby, danger from someone who once claimed to love her. Investigators believe the attack occurred shortly after she returned home, possibly during a confrontation or argument with her ex-boyfriend. The specifics remain under investigation, but the act of strangulation suggests intimate violence, a personal rage that erupted into lethal aggression. This tragedy, like so many before it, highlighted the hidden dangers that can exist within relationships even after they have ended. Many victims of intimate partner violence experience escalating threats or behaviors when they try to move forward or reclaim their independence. Stefanie's case became a painful reminder of this reality, prompting conversations across Austria and Slovenia about women's safety, domestic violence prevention, and the urgent need for stronger protections. In the days following the confirmation of her death, a wave of mourning and remembrance swept across social media. Followers posted tributes filled with heartbreak. Influencers, celebrities, and everyday people alike shared messages honoring Stefanie's spirit, her kindness, and the joy she brought into the world through her work. Many expressed outrage that her life had been taken in such a senseless and brutal way. The story became a symbol of a broader issue: the silent struggles so many women face behind closed doors, the warnings that often go unnoticed, the danger that lurks when someone refuses to accept the end of a relationship.